soul starts to linger, it's home I know. If you catch me daydreaming now and forever, thoughts are carrying me along to that place we call home. Down that long road, throughout life we roam.
The population of countless communities dotting miles of Canada's coastlines depend on the resources of the sea. For them, the environment, more than a topic of everyday conversation, has a direct bearing on their way of life, a way of life that for many has spanned generations. In this edition of Sketches, we'll look at one distinctive area of Canada, the lower estuary and the Gulf of St. Lawrence. We'll focus on two Quebec regions on opposite shores. We'll meet a naturalist, a marine biologist, and a leading conservationist whose efforts are directed at the study of the characteristics of their world, of land and sea, in order to better understand it and therefore to better protect it.
There are 500 different types of invertebrates that have been identified in these waters.
A biological explosion, one of the greatest in the world. It's really quite something.
It makes an immense quantity of food available for the whales that are coming here every summer.
A refuge, a place of contrast, a world of history, the gateway to a continent, the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Conservationist Pierre Dansereau.
We're just at the beginning of salt water, so there are influences of the flux and provision of elements that come from the upper St. Lawrence, and then the cold waters that come through the Labrador Straits. So it's an area of great conflict, and these conflicts are resolved, have been resolved in hundreds, thousands and thousands of years by the shrimps, by the fish, by the great mammals like the belugas and the whales.
From his summer base at Tadoussac, located on the north shore where the Saguenay meets the lower St. Lawrence River, marine biologist Robert Michaud devotes his studies to the whales, his passion to their preservation.
You might see on a single day, on a single cruise in the St. Lawrence, up to 4 and 5, sometime if you're really lucky, 6 species of cetaceans, 6 species of whales, and maybe up to 2, even 3 species of seals. So there is an immense diversity of marine mammals in this area. The blue whales that comes here in the St. Lawrence can reach up to 80 feet long, which is 24, 25 meters long, and can reach up to 100 ton, and even a little more. And just if you want to have fun thinking about whales, just imagine the immense quantity of food these guys need to survive here in cold water in the St. Lawrence. A blue whale on a single day might be eating between 2 and 4 tons of krill. The krill is a small shrimp-like animal.
The The flow from the Great Lakes to the St. Lawrence River follows the Gaspé Current along the south shore of the estuary and the Gulf, eventually merging with the waters of the Labrador Current. A triangular inland sea, 250,000 square kilometers in size. The Gulf yields 1/4 of Canada's bounty of fish. Courtney Simon is typical of many of the people of the Gaspé Peninsula. His family for generations have earned their living cod fishing. The commercial trade today is rooted in the era when Basque fishermen first came into contact with the Micmac over 400 years ago. Marine life in the Gulf is significant. However, depleting fish stocks, which jeopardizes the livelihood of thousands, brings further into prominence the need for international cooperation in managing global resources. Controlled harvests will hopefully preserve a way of life in the future for individuals like Courtney Simon. People of the sea, Gaspésians, for generations lived in remoteness, surviving a rigorous environment. Their traditional economy, fishing, began to diversify earlier this century when forest and mineral resources like copper were exploited from the interior. Jutting into the Gulf, the Micmac used the word Gaspég, land's end, to describe the land mass. Here, the Chic-Choc and the Notre Dame Mountains rise 300 meters above the sea. Strung along the coast, suspended between the elements, tiny villages with a total population of 200,000 are spread over 5 counties. And at the tip of the peninsula, the landmarks, Percé Rock and Ile Bonaventure. The exporting of Gaspé cured, salted, dried cod to Europe became the cornerstone of the early economy. From the Gulf, combined with numerous sunny days for drying, have traditionally given Gaspésians the lead over neighboring regions, being first each season to get their produce to market. Working sometimes in their favor, climate often was an adversary.
The people of the Gaspé had a tough life. It was hard to live here as fishermen or as farmers. It was hard to get the food and clothes, and it was difficult to struggle against cold winter.
A climate system governed by the expanse of surrounding waters dictated an often perilous existence. The Gulf provided a living, but hampered social development and communication.
For years, the Gaspé was isolated. Even if it is a peninsula, not an island, in some way it was an island. the communication with the center of the country, with Quebec and Montreal, it was by boat, because otherwise it would be through the woods, and it's a long way.
Claiming the land for the King of France, Jacques Cartier was the first European to document the area in 1534. 4 centuries of gradual social evolution was hastened, Gaspé style, earlier this century.
The highway to go around the Gaspé, should not forget that it was opened for the first time in 1930. Before that, the cars who wanted to go around the Gaspé would have, in many places, to wait till que la mer soit basse, till the sea would go down, so that they would drive on the sand. And after a while, wait that the sea goes down. There was no highway all around. From 1930, it started to be acceptable.
Nature, hosting civilization in the world of the Gulf of St. Lawrence. The human influence on the complex and fragile frontier of the Gulf of St. Lawrence becomes clearer as Robert Michaud progresses with his work with the whales.
Initially, we thought that we would never add any impact on the ocean. And the story about the whales tell us something completely different. We know now that some large whales have been put in endangered situation because they have been overkilled. And now, since about 10 or 15 years, we start to realize that there is some more subtle problems with the whales that are not only associated with overexploitation, but strictly with pollution. The first thing you'll see is that big blow. This is not water, this is just air that is expelled from the lung of the animal with a lot of strength. And then the animal glides slowly on the surface. And if it's a fin whale, like we like to see here, you see a long, endless back, black back rolling on the surface and a big dorsal fin suddenly appearing, and then the animal will just disappear.
Feeding into the Gulf are some of the most prolific salmon-spawning rivers in eastern Canada. On the north shore is the Natashquan, while in the Gaspé Peninsula are the York and the Dartmouth rivers. The taking of salmon, a traditional custom of Aboriginal peoples, became an attraction to early visitors to this region. This, coupled with the coming of the railway at the turn of the century, began to impact on tourism in the Gaspé. Today an economic mainstay, the industry capitalizes on natural attractions, the benefits of the environment. The Gulf and the St. Lawrence River have figured prominently in Canada's early history. A corridor to the interior, its role continues in importance today. Saltwater tides mix with freshwater in the lower St. Lawrence River as far upstream as Quebec City. Near the Saguenay, the river depth drops from a level of 25 meters to 350. The area marks the beginning of the Laurentian Channel, a drowned valley which extends eastward to the edge of the continental shelf. As part of the St. Lawrence Seaway and the Great Lakes system, navigation penetrates 3,800 kilometers into the heartland of North America. About 40 kilometers below Quebec City, the Laurentian Plateau rises 600 to 800 meters above the river. Noted as the region that gave birth to tourism in Canada, the history and development of Charlevoix offer contrast to its South Shore neighbor.
The Gaspé people are mostly settled on the shoreline and are connected somehow or other to the sea. This is not so for the majority of the people of Charlevoix. They are, on the contrary, more a population of farmers traditionally.
Originally set aside as a seigneurial domain in the latter 18th century, the terrain became a summer refuge for families of Quebec, escaping outbreaks of typhus in the city. Into the 1900s, the popularity of cruise ships firmly established Charlevoix as a leader in the hospitality industry. The cultural influences of these regions demonstrate qualities that are distinctive to the nation. The combination of continental and sea air masses, freshwater flow with Arctic saltwater, expanses of wilderness comprise an ideal habitat.
All these animals, birds or whales, are attracted in the summertime by the food. Most of these guys are migratory animals. They will go south during the winter time, and in the summertime they want to come here to feed.
In the area of Anticosti Island along the North Shore, the Mingan Archipelago, a coastal chain of some 900 islets and islands, stretches over a distance of 175 kilometers. It's a national park reserve. A sedimentary rock platform that rose out of the sea some 70 million years ago has been sculptured through erosion, resulting in these striking landforms. A number of rare plants are found in this mixed ecosystem. A temperate climate encourages over 200 bird species to refuge here. Underlying the preservation of natural habitat, paying heed to the business of nature, is the need for education and awareness that will influence future direction.
I think this kind of consciousness of environment is essential to achieving responsibility and participating in decisions that will eventually reach the ozone layer and the greenhouse effect and the devastation of the Amazon, the realization that we are responsible. That consciousness is developing, and and that it is prompting people to be more careful, to be more respectful of themselves and of the benefits of their environment.
The Gulf of St. Lawrence is as yet a frontier where the conflicts of human interaction with nature continue to be resolved. Foreo National Park. At the tip of Gaspé, it is one more example of the opportunities that the region provides for enjoyment of the natural world. Park naturalist Maxime Saint-Amour.
Every spring, the sea cliffs in Foreo receive about 25,000 seabirds that come and nest here from March or April right through August. We have black-legged kittiwakes, herring gulls, black-backed gulls, razorbills, black guillemots. We have all sorts of birds like that. And these seabirds come into the park waters and dive bomb right in the schools of fish that come right close to shore. You have these daily migrations of seabirds going out to fish and bringing back the food to their young every day on either side of the park. We have some 500 different types of invertebrates that have been identified in these waters. And there's about 110 species of fish. And of course, whales and seals. So I guess this is a naturalist's dream to be able to live here.
A refuge, a place of contrast, a world where individuals strive to make a difference through understanding the varying regions of the Gulf of St. Lawrence.
It'll always be home, home to